and welcome to the Actual Tech Media EcoCast. My name is Jess, and I am excited to be here with you all today. But before we jump into our content, I have some basic information that I want to cover with you. All right, let's kick off our day here today by taking a quick tour of your audience console. And we're going to start with the questions window. So if you haven't already said hi, there is a whole audience of cool humans out there, so reach out and give a wave to the other members of the Actual Tech Media community. Now, keep in mind that if you do have any technical issues today, a browser refresh is going to fix just about anything. But if those tech gremlins are clinging on today, no problem. Just throw a comment in the question section and our crew will be there to help. We also want this to be an informative webinar for you, so throughout today's EcoCast, we hope you'll get engaged and ask all your burning questions. Not only will we have team members responding to you over a live chat, we will also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of our presentations. Now, if we don't get to your question during the live webinar today, don't worry, because the awesome experts that we have here with us will be following up after we wrap. All right, next up, there's going to be lots of cool aha moments on the EcoCast today. And if you want to share those with your community, we've made it nice and easy for you. You can use the Twitter button right there in your audience console, and the hashtag for today's EcoCast will be automatically added to your post. All right, our last stop on this guided tour, be sure to check out the handouts tab for some awesome resources and takeaways from our speakers here today. We have an info pack collection, solution briefs, white papers, data sheets, free trials, ebooks, upcoming webinars, and more. So many great resources, so be sure to go explore. Now, if that wasn't enough fun, we also have some exciting prizes that we'll be giving away throughout today's EcoCast. I'm going to tell you a bit more about those later on, but a few quick reminders for you all. First, you do need to be here live in attendance at the EcoCast in order to qualify to win a prize, and we will follow up with all of you after we wrap. Now, all winners must submit an IRS Form W-9 to Actual Tech Media, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. Now, if you don't know what those full T's and C's are, that's fine. We've got the full thing for you. Just head on over to that handouts tab, click in, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find them waiting for you there. Now, the absolute most important thing to remember is that we love getting all your insightful questions during these live webinars. In fact, we love it so much that we actually have a special additional prize for all you inquisitive folks out there. So in today's EcoCast, we will be giving away a prize for the best question asked in each of our live sessions. Now, the expert speakers and teams will review all questions asked after we wrap the webinar, which means that even if your question does not get read out in a live session, there is still a chance to win. If you are a lucky winner here today and you would like to donate the value of your prize, we have several wonderful organizations that we partner with. So let us know when we follow up about your big win, and we'll get that rolling for you. Again, we are so happy to have you all here with us live at the EcoCast today, and we want to keep that good feeling going, so let's connect on social media. Reach out and connect with Actual Tech Media on Twitter and on LinkedIn. We have lots of great content, and we always want to hear from you. Now, if you're looking for more awesome content and resources right after we wrap the EcoCast today, be sure to subscribe to the Actual Tech Media channel on YouTube. Another fun way to win a prize and, hey, grow this awesome community is to refer an industry friend or a coworker to the Actual Tech Media webinar series. Now, you'll find a link to do that right in your handouts tab, and you will also be automatically redirected at the end of the webinar. And both you and your coworker or friend could win a prize, and we hold those drawings every month. So be sure to refer a friend because, it could quite literally be a win-win situation. Next, we have a cool opportunity for all the decision makers out there to get connected with new and emerging tech and innovative vendors. Here's how it works. All you need to do is click on the link in your handouts tab, fill out a quick application, and the Actual Tech crew will then match you with some vendors that we think you should probably be chatting with based on your needs. There will also be fun opportunities that you get to choose to join in, like surveys, test runs, new solutions, extended demos, and so on. You'll get some chances to win extra prizes, you'll chat with great people, and you'll learn about the hottest new trends in tech. So be sure to apply, or hey, send that link to a decision maker on your team. Now, I want to take a quick minute here to remind you all about one of my favorite resources, and that is ransomware.org. You can find out everything you need to know about ransomware, how to prepare, prevent, and recover. This site is jam-packed with information, helpful tips, checklists, strategic approaches, case studies, everything you need in one place. So wherever you are in your ransomware preparedness journey, there is something for you at ransomware.org. Go check it out and start exploring. All right, I have one more exciting resource I have to tell you about today, and that is the Gorilla Guide Book Club. It's going to give you access to free enterprise IT books authored by top industry experts, so you can stay up to date on trending enterprise technology. And yes, these books will work on your Kindle, your mobile device, and as I said, they are completely free. You can download these awesome resources at gorilla.guide, and there's a link for you in that handouts tab as well. All right, well, we have covered a lot of important things already, and I don't know about you all, but I am excited to dive in. So let's get going.
All right, thank you so much, Jess. I really appreciate that. Today's topic, of course, enabling mobility from Wi-Fi to 5G and supporting technologies. This event is produced by Actual Tech Media, and we want to give a big thank you to today's expert presenter from Couchbase. Thank you to Couchbase, of course, for supporting the event. Now, before we get started, I should mention my name is David Davis of Actual Tech Media, and I'm one of the moderators on the moderation team today, along with Jess, Scott, and Keith. We want to make this an excellent event for you. And as Jess mentioned, we also, as always, have some awesome prizes here on the EcoCast event today. That is 3 Amazon $300 gift cards. You must be live in attendance to qualify, and we'll be announcing the prize winners for all 3 of these at the end of today's presentation. So make sure that you stay tuned for those. Now, before I introduce you to today's expert presenter, I have a poll question for you out there in the audience. The question on the screen is, what's your time frame for adding new or updating existing IT solutions at your company? And specifically today, of course, when we say solutions, we're talking about mobility solutions, like the solutions that you'll be learning about on the EcoCast today from Couchbase. So is your time frame 1 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, 12 to 24, or maybe you're not sure? I'll give you a moment to respond to that poll question. And once you do, I encourage you to check out the handouts tab there. The very first link on the top is a resource from Couchbase that covers Couchbase for 5G powered edge computing. It's a really well done resource. It opens up right in your browser. Tons of information is included in there. So make sure that you check out that resource after you answer the poll. And in just a moment, I'll be introducing you to Mark from Couchbase. Mark's presentation is all about the role of the database in mobile app architecture, how it works, how it leverages Wi-Fi and 5G networking, and how the right database can mitigate network issues and make mobile apps faster, more secure, and more resilient. So it's going to be a great presentation. And with that, let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm excited now to welcome Mr. Mark Gamble from Couchbase. He's the Product and Solutions Marketing Director there at Couchbase. Mark, it's great to have you on the EcoCast today.
Thanks, David. Super excited to be here and really excited to talk about today's topic. So thanks for having me.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited to learn more. So take it away.
All right. So I'll basically assume everybody can hear me nice and clear. Again, hi, everyone. Mark Gamble. Thanks for the nice intro, David. It's my great pleasure to talk to everyone today about edge computing. And tying it back to that, the topic of mobility, of course, mobile devices are a primary edge device, and so that's why we're talking about it in the context of edge computing. And I'll also talk about how edge computing enables mobility, how it leverages networks, and how important it is to get the right database to support it. All too often, we find that the database is sort of left till the end when an organization sets out for its mobile application strategy. And so we're here to say that actually should be more of a primary consideration right up front. Edge computing, the architectural strategy is really poised to change the way we deliver applications and power future innovations. So let's dive right in. First, just to set context and a frame of reference for the rest of the presentation, a little bit about Couchbase. So Couchbase is a cloud-native NoSQL database that's used to power gigantic applications like those at LinkedIn and Tesco and Comcast and Amadeus and more. Huge enterprise customers who use us to power their mission critical applications. And I like to describe Couchbase as a combination of NoSQL concepts. First, it's the processing of key value information in memory for hyperfast responsiveness. This is how websites go so fast. Many people use us for this in-memory key value for making web responsiveness as fast as possible. And then second, we bring in the distributed storage of JSON document-based data. And this is schemaless in its nature. And this brings flexibility and resilience. Developers can essentially mold the data structure to the needs of the application versus the other way around with relational databases. And then on top of this foundation, we add full support for containerization, mobile and edge capabilities, which I'll drill into, as well as a full set of built-in features like SQL query support, something you don't usually see with document databases, as well as full text search, eventing, analytics. These are things that are part of the Couchbase database that customers no longer have to bolt on from a bunch of different technologies. So with all of this, you have Couchbase in a nutshell. And Couchbase Capella is our flagship enterprise class database as a service. So this provides all those features I just talked about, but fully hosted and managed in the cloud. So Capella removes those barriers of installing and self-managing database infrastructure, and it makes it easy for our customers to get started. And it's designed to provide a highly available, fast, and secure enterprise class database backbone for mission critical apps of all kinds, of course, including IoT and mobile applications. And we also recently introduced Capella App Services. This is a really popular new capability for mobile developers. So App Services is designed to provide a fully managed backend for mobile IoT and edge applications. So essentially what it does is provide access to and the ability to sync data between our database as a service and edge devices, as well as provide authentication and security. So Capella provides an ideal back end for mobile applications. And I encourage everyone to check out the free trial. You just go to cloud.couchbase.com/sign up, and you can see what it's like for yourself. So now let's explore the need for edge computing and what it is and what it actually solves. So the essential goal of edge computing is to bring data and computing closer to the applications that consume it, physically closer. And there's a spectrum when it comes to edge that I like to talk about, because this also represents sort of the spectrum of Couchbase support for edge applications. So on the one side, there's this concept of a standalone smart device. And this is where the data is co-located or embedded within the application that runs on the client. And this is, of course, your usual suspects, smartphones, laptops, IoT devices, as well as custom rugged devices. For example, those dyad tablets that we see all overnight couriers carrying around when they scan packages. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have edge data centers. And this is in the form of an IT closet in a store, or a rack on a cruise ship, or even an edge data center in a metropolitan area. And where an application falls in the spectrum depends on the scale and number of downstream clients that it serves. But really, in both cases, the data is brought closer to the application or clients that use it. And, the reason for doing that is to mitigate latency and to increase availability for applications, which is extremely, extremely important. So, networks are the glue that tie together the edge architecture, especially today in the cloud computing era, where a lot of applications, data storage and processing happens in the cloud. And as we move toward the edge, extending out from the cloud, we also extend from wide area networks to local area networks based on Wi-Fi and 5G. And now with innovations like Starlink, we're seeing low Earth orbit satellite networks that offer connectivity in areas where it was never available before. So this increased global connectivity is what drives this current boom in mobile growth mobile app growth, more and more users are carrying devices with apps that they expect to use anywhere at any time. And with the increased coverage is enabling that. But we all know that networks don't come without issues, right? All networks, no matter how fast and reliable they may be, can suffer the risk of slowness and outages. And that can severely impact the performance of applications that rely on a connection to the cloud. So there's a lot of hype right now around 5G. It's touting being the answer to speed and reliability for mobile devices. So let's drill into that just for a second. 5G is arguably driving the massive growth of mobile phone usage, as well as this new wave of data-intensive applications that require real-time responsiveness. And we see things in IoT, AR, VR, and AI spaces, for example. So when you compare how 5G is better than 4G networks, you can sort of sum it up very simply. Data travel time on a 4G network from a device to a cell tower and back averages around 15 milliseconds. And on 5G, those latency levels are reduced to just 2 to 3 milliseconds. So just order of magnitude, decrease in latency. And with its inherent low latency and capacity, 5G brings the potential to power smart factories, autonomous vehicles, and robots, all of these things of the future that we've been seeing, but it can also really vastly improve existing applications in retail, and finance, and healthcare, anywhere where uptime and real-time responsiveness are critical requirements. But while 5G provides substantial benefits, they apply to the last hop, if you will, or the edge of your network from the cell, that radius from the cell tower to your device. So anything that happens within that radius is super fast and tons of bandwidth. But the round trip from the tower to a cloud data center and back can still take up to 500 milliseconds or more, depending on where you are. And this fact, severely limits the benefits of 5G for cloud computing applications because they still rely on internet connectivity for data processing and storage. A speedier final hop can't make up for overall internet latency or outages. And edge computing brings data and compute to within that final hop where applications could take full advantage of the speed and reliability offered by 5G. So let's take a minute and compare the cloud computing architecture and an edge computing architecture with a data center and a 5G edge network and see how they sort of compare. So in this particular case, we've got a cloud computing architecture where apps rely solely on the cloud for data processing and computing, regardless of their local network. When the internet and data center are humming along, nicely, so are the apps that are using them. But if the cloud starts to slow down or experiences an issue with the data center, apps that rely solely on the cloud for data will also slow down, even if they're on a 5G network. And this is when users typically start seeing that spinning please wait wheel. And if we lose the internet altogether, apps that use the cloud will stop working altogether. And that leads to costly business downtime or worse, depending on the app. So what's needed is a way to eliminate the internet from the equation. So here is an alternate depiction. This is an edge computing architecture. So red icons indicate database, data storage and processing. And notice the cloud database is still in the mix, right? Where the edge computing doesn't mean you get rid of the cloud, you extend the cloud. So the cloud database is still the mothership backend database for the app ecosystem. But here in the middle, between the edge clients and the cloud, we've inserted some new areas for processing data in a database on an edge data center. And this, of course, could be on a 5G network, in a local metro area data center or an on-prem data center. And databases in this case are also embedded directly to apps running on edge devices down in the client tier in the bottom here. And green lines indicate data synchronization. And this is critical for the edge architecture to remain consistent. Data is synchronized between devices and the edge database and the cloud database, leveraging available networking, including on the very bottom here, private area networks like Bluetooth at the edge for peering with other devices. So when we have everything wired up like this is a simplified look at a full-blown edge architecture. So albeit very simple, but let's start virtually snipping wires and taking out connectivity from the top down and see what happens to apps that are running on edge devices. So when all tiers of the network architecture are running, all apps work fine. If the internet slows or the cloud suffers an outage, apps that rely on the edge data center or that have an embedded database aren't impacted at all. And if we lose the internet altogether, clients that use an edge node or an on-device database continue to operate without issue. Similarly, if the edge nodes start to slow or they go down, apps with an embedded database will continue to remain available and sync data between devices 100% of the time. So the moral of the story here is that Couchbase is the database that supports the edge architecture and makes apps faster and more resilient, as well as it takes better advantage of networks. Because Couchbase runs on cloud data centers, it runs on edge data centers, it runs on mobile and edge devices, and most importantly, it takes advantage of networking in the most conservative way, syncing data automatically in its most compressed and compact form behind the scenes when networking is available. This is how Couchbase can support mobile apps that are always on and always fast without relying on the internet. So now let's dig a little bit deeper into Couchbase Mobile, the product. So this is the Couchbase Mobile product stack. It's how we support Couchbase Mobile and edge applications. So on the left, we have Couchbase Server. This is our flagship modern database server with support for SQL, analytics, full text search, and eventing. And then on the right, we have Couchbase Lite. And this is the embeddable version of Couchbase for mobile and custom embedded devices. Sync Gateway sits in between, and this is responsible for secure data sync, routing, and access control between mobile clients and server tiers. These capabilities can be deployed two ways: fully managed with Couchbase Capella, or self-managed, where customers install Couchbase themselves on public or private clouds, on a cloud edge service, or on-premises, or any combination thereof. And in fact, that ability to create multi-layer architectures is one of our differentiators in the database world. So if we dig into the architecture, Capella is available on AWS, GCP, and Azure. And it provides that hosted and managed database as a service, which runs Couchbase Server under the hood. It also provides fully hosted and managed app services, which runs Sync Gateway under the hood. Common topologies for app services applications include offline first sync. So this is where apps can work in complete isolation for extended periods using Couchbase Lite for embedded data processing. And when connectivity is available, they use app services for secure data sync over a WebSockets-based protocol. So this topology applies to the order-to-cash application, the other major applications that we see our customers leveraging. So these would be a myriad of different mobile applications. And another common topology is peer-to-peer with Cloud Sync. So this is where Couchbase Lite is deployed on edge devices, and to facilitate the collaboration, the peer-to-peer sync feature of Couchbase Lite is used to sync data between the edge devices when disconnected from the internet. So this is where the private area network comes in, for example. Bluetooth is a common one. So when and the other piece of the equation is when there is internet, those clients can, go beyond just syncing locally and sync upstream to the Capella database as a service, leveraging app services. And then lastly, app services can support mobile and web applications with secure access to Capella data via REST calls. So very simple. And in this topology, clients can either choose to embed Couchbase Lite, the embeddable database, or just call the REST API directly from the web or desktop applications to get data from Capella. So these are the common topologies. Again, simplification, and these can be very sophisticated and multi-layered, and that becomes again a huge differentiator for Couchbase. So now let's take a quick look at data security and governance. This is another big area of consideration with the boom in mobile apps worldwide. So Couchbase Mobile provides full encryption for data at rest on device or in the cloud, as well as for data in motion. So that being TLS 1.2 and AES for encryption at rest. So enterprise class encryption there, for providing that rock solid security. And it also backs this up by providing role-based access control for meeting granular data security requirements. You can set security requirements that are as granular as certain groups of users or even individuals can only edit certain fields of data, for example. And another big piece here is that within our security infrastructure, we include this ability to revoke permissions and remove data from the device on demand. And this is critical for applications that have large user bases that may join the organization and leave the organization, and that may handle sensitive information. So this ability to revoke permissions and remove data from the device on demand becomes a huge security differentiator for us. And because we allow you to isolate data anywhere in the distributed edge architecture with precision, Couchbase Mobile provides superior data governance for applications. Enterprises can meet any data privacy, residency, and sovereignty regulation by processing data and keeping it where requirements dictate. So this is the ability then not only for synchronization to synchronize data across a given ecosystem, mobile app ecosystem, but to also have it only stay in one location and govern that directionality, and do that with precision to make sure you're in accordance with regulatory requirements. So in short, edge computing is more secure because sensitive data never has to leave the edge. So here's a fun section here. A short time ago, our Couchbase engineering team decided to see if the edge computing claims of blazing speed were true. And we did it by running a series of tests on emerging 5G-based edge computing services. So let's take a quick look at the results. So, first, to set the stage here, cloud service providers and wireless operators are bringing edge services to market, with the goal of making it easy for their customers to spin up edge infrastructure for nearly any use case. So this concept makes it a lot easier because instead of deploying, standard infrastructure to a region, customers can get AWS, Azure, or GCP infrastructure in their local city, or on a 5G network, or on their own premises. And we're deeply ingrained with the edge services go-to-market with these partners, and it makes it really easy for anyone to get started with Couchbase for edge computing quickly. And to sort of prove out the theory, we ran those tests I talked about to see for ourselves if edge computing is in fact faster for applications. We use this very simple architecture to test the difference in latency between a standard AWS availability zone and an AWS wavelength zone that is essentially AWS infrastructure on Verizon 5G ultra-wideband. So we were able to install Couchbase to both of these zones, one out in a standard AZ and then one on the wavelength zone on Verizon 5G. And then we went ahead and ran some tests. We deployed a simple application backed by the Couchbase database to both zones. And then we accessed both zones in parallel from an iPhone client. And we measured the latency on the network and the database during a full round trip. And that simple architecture really yielded some really amazing benefits. Among the tests, we measured the median network duration for 100 iterations of a 1,000-byte read and write payload. And these results were really eye-opening. When compared to the standard availability zone, the Verizon 5G powered wavelength zone showed a decrease in read latency of 67% and a decrease in write latency of 82%. Just amazing. Another way to look at this is based on operations per second, and depending on your activity, this could mean that you can get from 3 to 5 times more business done in the same period of time with Couchbase running on a Verizon 5G wavelength node at the edge. So as we sort of round towards the wrap up of my presentation, I wanted to go beyond the edge architecture and its various components and explore how it can be used in a variety of business use cases. So one area is in airline baggage, simple concept with a lot of complexity. And in fact, it's so complex that mistakes happen frequently and become costly. In fact, mishandled bags cost the global airline industry an estimated $2.5 billion annually, just mind-boggling numbers. And this is because there's so much data coming so fast that it's really difficult to track this manually. Because millions of travelers are traveling, each with a manifest and a gate and arrival and departure time and much more types of data. So accurate baggage tracking really relies on keeping track of this data. And it requires speed and accuracy. So by processing data on the local 5G network, baggage handlers get the speed and availability needed to scan and track bags as accurately as possible. And the data synchronization means that data syncs automatically to the rest of the airport network. And this keeps bags tracked en route, and it eliminates those costly mistakes. We actually have some customers that are implementing this today in the airline industry. Multiplayer online gaming is another use case where ultra-low latency really matters, as milliseconds can mean the difference between winning and losing. And when tons of players are in a graphics-intensive mobile game at the same time, latency can get even worse. And that can lead to an unfair peaker's advantage in many games. So to provide the highest guarantees of speedy gameplay and ultra-low latency, game vendors can deploy game servers on Couchbase mobile-powered data centers on 5G networks or in metro areas with high concentrations of players. And this helps maintain a fast and consistent experience for those gamers. And edge computing can also benefit retail operations, both today and for future innovations like, just walk out model stores. For example, Couchbase has many retail customers that are leveraging our edge capabilities to provide premium customer services. For example, putting the entire inventory for a luxury clothing store in the hands of sales associates who use tablets to match customers' item inquiries instantly with available stock, regardless of internet connection. So part of the equation is the need to know when and how to get any piece of merchandise, not only what was locally in stock, but what might be in stock in another store across town. So that required a global awareness between stores and warehouses at the same time as at that resilience to internet outages. So by processing data directly on the tablets, staff can accommodate customers immediately with personal service, and synchronization ensures that the catalog is up to date. Nothing is ever oversold or misrepresented. So we covered essentially the basics of edge computing, the role, of course, of the network and infrastructure, but most importantly, at least from my perspective, of course, is the role of the database. It's an integral part of edge computing. Should be one of the first considerations for your mobile development initiatives, and make sure that you get a mobile database that has an embeddable component, a cloud database component, and automatic synchronization between the two. And you'll be good to go. And of course, Couchbase offers all of this. So we invite you, as David said, to leverage the paper. Goes a little deeper into Couchbase on 5G for edge computing, and sign up for Couchbase Capella. It's as zero risk as it can get. You can go straight to cloud.couchbase.com/sign up and be working in Capella in just a matter of minutes. So with that, I'll turn it back over to David.
Great presentation, Mark. This is really cool. I learned a lot. I know the audience did as well. It's now time to take audience questions. So if you're out there, you're wondering if the question you have in your mind is a good one or not, go ahead, just ask away. We also have our best question prize, of course. So keep that in mind. We've got a lot of great questions that have already come in. While we take your questions, I'm going to ask you a question out there in the audience. It's a poll. It's right there on the screen. The question is, what additional information would you like about the Couchbase solution? Maybe you'd like additional technical details, customer case studies about other companies who have leveraged this, perhaps some pricing details. You want to get your own personal demo or try it out for yourself. And Mark talked about just how easy that is to do. So just select one or multiple options there on the screen. And I'll go ahead and start off with this first question here. They're asking, what about conflicts in the database? How does the database handle data sync conflicts? Mark?
Sure. Yeah, great question. And one of the best parts, I think, of the Couchbase mobile solution is that it has built-in conflict resolution, and more importantly, that it's configurable. So this sets us apart from the few other solutions in the market. And the replication or synchronization protocol for app services in Couchbase Mobile features automatic conflict resolution based on rules. So it's built to resolve conflicting document changes. And it delivers this by applying one of its built-in conflict resolver policies, which can be easily included in their replication routines. And the goal of conflict resolutions is to return a winning revision based on the consistent application of the configured conflict resolver policy. So we don't use device clock as a winning, unless you want it to, but we don't by default do this because that can be different depending on where the user is. And so we employ more sophisticated, last active activity sort of wins. And other mobile database solutions, the conflict resolution can't be customized, but with Couchbase it can. And this is how our customers can really meet specific requirements. And it's how we're able to maintain complete data integrity from cloud to edge devices in between.
Yeah, that's really powerful, that data integrity across so many different types of distributed devices. It's really kind of mind-boggling to think about the possibilities there and how you all could take care of all of that. Here's another good question. They're asking, in 5G MEC, how does an app know which data center gets its data?
Yeah, we hear that one a lot because the MEC, it's in the name. It's multi-access edge computing. So in a 5G network, you can have multiple data centers, some of which might be more available or closer to you than others. So, and most of the emerging 5G edge services from providers are offering APIs for apps to use that will automatically help them route app traffic to the most available MEC data center. So, for example, we've been working with Verizon, and they provide an edge discovery API specifically for this purpose. And it not only tells the app, where to go, which data center is the best, but it also enables the ability to monitor the entire MEC, for current and historic availability and speed. So, look for those capabilities as part of your MEC provider's offering.
Got it. Okay. Excellent. And then another question here, can your mobile database work with devices other than smartphones?
Yeah, so this is another distinction that Couchbase brings to the table. And of course, we always lead with mobile. They're the predominant edge device in use today. But our C API enables developers to embed Couchbase to their applications on really any edge or IoT device, not just smartphones. And it also, C is the lingua franca of IoT. So it allows developers to use nearly any language for their development, such as Rust or Python. to which you can build bindings to the C API. And no other vendor offers this. It's a C-based, NoSQL embedded database for mobile applications and custom hardware with built-in sync capabilities. And this allows an organization to even standardize on Couchbase across their entire edge stack. They can make sure the same database runs on their device as runs in their local data center as runs in the cloud. This means they can use the same queries and the same technology across the entirety. In fact, this is what our customer Arthrex, which is makes surgical devices. They were able to standardize on Couchbase. They embed Couchbase Lite to their custom surgical devices. Things like ligament surgery devices, orthopedics, and things that they can actually capture media metadata from the cameras on these devices. It's really fascinating. And then they can sync that to the local hospital data center where they keep the private data on premises for HIPAA regulations, but sync the remainder of that up to the cloud for post-operative review, things like that. So smartphones are just part of the equation for us.
That's amazing. Amazing, all the applicable use cases here for this in the real world. Yeah. What about AI? I'm sure there's someone out there always saying, what about AI? They're asking here, what's the biggest hurdle in using AI at the edge for optimizing user experience?
Sure. I mean, I think using AI at the edge is going to be a huge driver of edge computing, because it's a simple thing with AI and machine learning, especially. The more data, the better for accurate predictions and recommendations. But the problem is, the more data, the harder it becomes. Especially that starts to eliminate putting it far away if you need quick answers, right? So with high data volume, there's so much of it coming so fast, just keeping up becomes the main obstacle of trying to employ AI, especially when you're collecting it in the cloud. So that's why grabbing and processing it right where it occurs is key. This is the way data can be handled in discrete situation-specific way. A single device and single situational analysis, for example. Essentially, this ability to run machine learning routines at the device level, we can see things like our customers leveraging it for image comparison, for example. This is our retail example, our customer Louis Vuitton. If you walk in there holding a shirt, you say, I want something similar or matching to this, they'll take a picture of it with their tablet and automatically find matching and recommended amenities, other things that complement it. So it's getting your data architecture in order is key and should preface any AI or ML initiatives.
That's really cool. That's a cool use case. And what about mobile gaming? There's someone here asking if you have any customers in mobile gaming.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons that we use the use case in the presentation is because we have many. Lodem, in fact, is the latest and a growing global brand. They use our Capella app services as a hosted backend for their really, really popular game called 4 Picks, 1 Word. Very simple game that's addictive. Careful if you start playing it because you can't put it down, but it's all powered by Couchbase. And Lodem needed to make sure that users could play the game no matter where they went, regardless of their connectivity. If they went on the subway, onto a plane, this kind of thing. And they also needed wide mobile platform support. They wanted our built-in data sync to make sure gamers could use different devices. For example, switch from their phone to their tablet as they walk in, from playing on the subway home. They can switch over to their tablet and pick right up where they left off without losing track of gameplay or stats. So by embedding the data processing of the game itself, Lodem got that always-on experience that their gamers required, and the sync capability makes sure gameplay is consistent and accurate at all times.
Really cool. It's cool to hear about all the behind-the-scenes technology, that makes these things we use every day possible that we might not even think about. So Couchbase is powering so many different applications and so many different use cases, really all around the world. I'm afraid we're running out of time here in our live Q&A session. We still got a lot more great questions coming in from the audience. We appreciate those. We didn't have time to get to all of them, but Mark, again, great presentation, and thank you so much for being on the EcoCast today.
Great. Thanks, David, to you and Actual Tech for having me. It was great fun, and look forward to the next one.
Absolutely. And thank you to Couchbase, of course, for supporting our EcoCast event today. Check out the handouts tab right there in your audience console. The very first link at the top will take you to the Couchbase resource entitled Couchbase for 5G Powered Edge Computing. A really nicely done resource. I mean, there's all sorts of information in here. So make sure that you check that one out. And of course, answer the poll there before you go. And I will just actually leave that up. We can just leave that up while I announce our prize winners on the EcoCast today. We have three $300 gift cards to Amazon.com. These are going out to Gary Lennon from Michigan, Manuel Villa from Arizona, and Lee McClellan from Washington, D.C. Congratulations to our gift card winners. And don't forget to respond to the poll there before you go, because we're moving on now. Just to wrap up today's event, I learned a lot on the event today. I hope that you did as well. Visit couchbase.com for additional information. And with that, I want to thank everyone for joining, and I hope that you'll join us on another upcoming EcoCast event. In fact, we've got one coming up next Wednesday, April 19th, on discovering critical capabilities in leading SSE, SIEM, and SOAR tools with Palo Alto Networks and Rapid7. Hope to see you on that EcoCast. And thank you to our audience for joining. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.